courses that we have. I've combined the last 3 courses that we have for you. Welcome, Abdul Martin. When if you're here to, you can unmute yourself and turn on.
Good evening, sir.
So we're now streaming live on YouTube. So without wasting much of your time, we'll be getting started. But before we get started, let's remind you that the intensive revision class, the IoT intensive revision class, starts tomorrow. If you haven't joined yet, you still have opportunity to join. We'll be taking all 15 courses spearheaded by our tutors, same tutors that usually take you guys. So if you want to reach us to know more about the intensive revision class, you can chat us on WhatsApp on 070-4457-6011 or 0811-0866-896. WhatsApp only, please, so that we can respond to you as soon as possible. Thank you all once again for joining. Now I will hand over to Mr. Abdul Martin Orumo to take over from here.
Thank you, sir. Good evening, everyone. And Queen will be joining us a bit late today. So, let's introduce our lecturers for the night. So, Mr. Cletus, good evening, sir. Are you available, sir? Are you there?
Yeah, good evening.
Yes, sir. Mr. Cletus, I would love if you could give us a brief introduction about yourself and what you do, what course you take. It's ICANN aligned to us. Hello? Can you hear me? Okay. Hello?
Yeah, are you hearing me now?
Yes, sir, we can hear you, sir.
Okay. I said my name is Cletus Edum Itachot.
Mr. Cletus, if you don't mind, you can turn on your video so that we can see your face, please.
Okay, sir. All right. Good evening, all. My name is Cletus Edum Itacho. Those are my full names. So I'm a finance practitioner, audit practitioner. I'm fully on ground in terms of field audit, in terms of tax practice. I run a consulting firm called Itachot Consulting, where we focus on corporate services, audit and assurance, training and capacity building, financial modeling, and so on. So my area of expertise is audit and assurance and other cognate courses. I handle advanced audit and assurance for ICANN online tutors, as well as public sector accounting and finance. I'm a chartered accountant by the grace of God, also a certified management consultant. I'm a fellow of the Institute of Management Consultants, Nigeria, I also have a certification on certification from London Business School, tagged certified management specialist with a distinction in time management. So I think that is my brief profile. Thank you for giving me the opportunity.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir, for that, sir. Oh, Mr. Inyoda. Good evening, sir.
Good evening.
Yes, sir. Sir, can you give us a brief introduction of yourself, sir?
My name is Yanda Abdul-Wasir. I'm a chartered accountant. I work with KPMG Nigeria within the advisory ward unit. My area of specialization is in financial reporting and word and assurance as well. I work within the accounting advisory team in KPMG. I lecture financial accounting, business management and finance, and corporate strategic management with ICANN online tutors. I'm a chartered accountant as well, and I welcome you all to today's section.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Thanks for that, sir. We also have Mr. Olatunji. Good evening, Mr. Olatunji. Are you there, sir? Mr. Olatunji, are you there, sir? Okay, I think Mr. Olatunji is not available for now. So we'll be having two lecturers. Pardon me. We'll be having two lecturers for tonight until Mr. Olatunji comes. Okay, hello.
Hello. Good evening. Please, can you hear me?
Okay, Mr. Olatunji, good evening, sir. How are you doing tonight, sir? Please, can you give us? Can you hear me, sir?
Yes, I can.
All right, sir. Good evening, sir. Please, can you give us a brief introduction of yourself and what you do with that kind of line to us?
Hello, can you hear me?
Hello? Yeah, I can hear you, sir. We can hear you. Hello? Okay.
Okay.
Hello? We can't hear you, Mr. Olatunji.
All right, good evening.
Okay, good evening, sir.
What about now? Can you hear me now?
We can hear you now, yes, sir.
Okay. My name is Olatunji. I'm a graduate of University of Lagos, UNILAG, where I had my BSc in accounting. I also had my master's in finance in the same University of Lagos. I'm a chartered accountant, as well as I'm an auditor, a practicing auditor. I've worked in a financial institution where I have a vast experience in finance. Currently, I'm working in a manufacturing organization as internal auditor. I'm also one of the members of ICANN online tutor, where I am participating in the strategic financial management, SFM. I'm also among the tutor in terms of public sector accounting and finance. So that's a brief introduction about me. Thank you.
Oh, thanks for that, sir. Really appreciate it. Queen, welcome back. So, Queen, you can take over.
Okay, hi. Good evening. Good evening, everyone. Good evening, Martin.
Yeah, good evening, Queen.
Yes, good evening to our tutors. Yes, so we have some questions here, and so I would be directing this question to Mr. Kletus. So based on your experience, what specific challenges do students often face when preparing for the course you're taking, and how do they overcome these challenges?
Please, can I get your question again? Sorry.
Okay, yes. So I said, based on your experiences, what specific challenges do students often face when preparing for the exams, and how can they overcome these challenges?
Please, can I get your question again? Sorry.
Okay, yes. So I said, based on your experiences, what specific challenges do students often face when preparing for the exams, and how can they overcome these challenges?
Yeah, the challenges would depend on individual students. So the challenges can range from juxtaposing syllabus as against the pack, that topic syllabus or paper syllabus as against the pack. Some students just go straight to the pack, thinking that the ICANN pack is the syllabus. So there are two different things. Because at times, you might find an item in the syllabus and you might not find an item in the pack. And you might also find an item in the pack and you don't find an item in the syllabus. So that's one of the challenges. I will bring the solution later. Then the challenges of numerical papers and non-numerical papers. Numerical papers in such a manner that it involves computations, calculations, decision making, and so on. So ability to differentiate the two, numerical papers and non-numerical papers, and to study in line with the structure of these two papers. The other one is for where you have extended materials, such as a course in such as public sector accounting and finance. The syllabus is large, so ability for students to really cover them is a challenge. If you don't love the course you are studying for, if you develop hatred for that course, it might be a challenge for that student to overcome. So so those are a few challenges. As for the juxtaposing the ICANN syllabus versus the pack, students should go and study. I think that should be the first thing. It shouldn't be the pack first. Go to the syllabus first. Look at what the syllabus required you to know, because all of these syllabus change from time to time. So when you take an overview of the syllabus, then you can now go to the pack, match the topics with, from the syllabus against those in the pack. Because at times, some topic might show up in the syllabus and the pack is not yet updated. So you look for where you can find those materials. And I believe our video lectures are updated. So any topic that come up, even if it's not in the pack, you will find it in our video lecture. So you should be able to match the two topics and know what to study for. Then for numerical and non-numerical courses, look at your strengths. Because some people might have equal strength in both numerical courses and non-numerical courses. But if you are strength in lagging in one, I think you should work more on the course that you are lacking behind to bring it up to the level, so that even if you enter into an exam to write a non-numerical courses, you will not be afraid. You can face it squarely, just as you are entering to write a numerical course. So another one is to develop love for a course, no matter how difficult the course is, no matter how dreaded the course is, or maybe if you have a trade for the tutor taking you, or the tutor that took you in the university, you might still carry that hatred along the line. So it's time for you to break away from that hatred and begin to love the course and begin to love the tutor, or like the tutor, as the case may be, be able to overcome those challenges. Some of these papers have a large syllabus, be able to cover them. So what you do, just look at the frequently tested area and focus, because that way you look at some courses like SFM, PISA, and so which is very large. So just select those topics that you know that is frequently tested and work on that. So if you cannot be able to cover all, because I believe there are some students that can still devise a means to cover the syllabus, no matter how large. So I believe another thing is time constraints. So for the working class students, so you'll be able to strike a balance between your work and time, draw up a timetable to accommodate your studies as well as your work and strike a balance. I think those are some of the challenges and solutions that students can apply.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for that, sir. So my question goes to Mr. Yonda. Mr. Yonda, what are the study techniques, or what are some study techniques or strategies that have been most effective for students aiming to excel in ICANN exams?
Okay, thanks, Mace. And regarding your question in terms of what are some of the study techniques that you can use to pass your ICANN exam. So, you see, one of the things is that, is like, if I want to respond to that question, it's somewhat subjective in terms of what work for Mr. A sometimes may not work for Mr. B. So what the student would try as much as possible to do is you have to understand what really worked for you. At least coming up with this word, writing ICANN exam, at least the basic thing that you have before is that maybe there's HND or there's BSc. Or maybe to some of us then that we are coming from ATS. So you just have to look at starting from our elementary level, what are some of the strategy that you want to use to come to this level? Because maybe you are starting from foundation now. You have to have maybe your BSc or your HND. So it's not just a WAEC or a primary school. You have experience on some of these examinations before. So you just have to look at, okay, what are some of the things that you have done before? If it is smart, then we also need to be looking at how can you improve it if there's some certain area that need amendment. And especially to some of us that maybe you are working and writing this particular exam as well. In terms of just have to have a basic plan for it. In terms of how do you want to structure your study, considering your work. So if you can able to figure out that and you stick to to the timetable that you have prepared by yourself, then I think it will be fine. So the technique is just about analyzing your activities. What are some of the things that you are doing? Look at the nature of your work. Is there time that you can also prepare for it? And I can remember maybe some series of webinar that we have. Mr. Ridwan also make mention of maybe even some of us that are staying in in Lagos, during the traffic as well, you can also use it to work. You can also use it to study, and that may be effective to some of us. So you just have to look at your daily activities and try as much as possible to create a unique timetable that can suit that. And once you have that timetable, just try as much as possible. You can be flexible sometimes, but you just have to stick with it. So that technique will really help. But before it works, you have to try as much as possible to analyze what your current activities is. Once you can able to do that, I think you should be able to come up with effective things that can able to suit our study. I think that's it, Waves. Thanks.
Thank you, sir.
All right. Thank you, sir. Thank you for giving us this techniques, whatever works for you. So, on our next question, I'll be asking Mr. Olatunji. So, how do you engage students to stay motivated and focused during their exams preparation, especially when faced with complex concepts or extensive study materials?
Okay.
Did you get that, sir?
Thank you. Yes, I get you right
Okay.
and clear.
Okay.
How students will be able to overcome the stress when they have a complex question to attend to, and how they are going to simplify it. I think this is part of the mistakes that students usually do while writing the examination. At times, the way question will be set might be some of the challenges that the students are facing in form of how to interpret some of these questions. But in the exam situation, we understand that there are exam tension, whereby likely expectation from my preparation. But coming into the examination or going through
Okay. Please, Victoria Sunday, can
I
you
think
please
we lost him
unmute?
there.
Sorry, I hope you can hear me.
Yeah, we can hear you, sir.
All right. So during this exam period, so there are a lot of challenges that students do face. Part of it is that students are having their expectation before going for the examination, and the expectation might not be 100% to what they are predicting for the examination. But based on the exam condition and the exam tension, how will students be able to minimize or to overcome this type of situation when it comes? The best approach is that students should look out for one out of all the questions that is being set. There is one that students will be very familiar with. Attempt the first best. Start with. Then by the time you are answering this question, before you go to the next question, then you have to reduce your temper, the exam tension, while attempting the first question that you know best. So at that period, you have a time to relax, to understand the question context. So this period is also a best period for students to be able to overcome any tension that might be coming forth during the exam period. We're having about 3 to 4 weeks before the examination, and we are through with our study. And what do we need to do now? We pick point from the first lecturer, Mr. Cletus. We made mention that we need to study the syllabus. And what do we need to study out of this syllabus? We need to know the structure of the syllabus. And this syllabus is being separated, and there are percentage given to each topics. As far as public sector accounting and finance is concerned, 60% of the syllabus covers theory, while 40% covers the practical aspects. So we need to cover more of the theory than the practical, although we need everything. But take note that there are some topics that we need to be very familiar with, as they are the likely reoccurred topics in the examination. So for this period, revision has started. These are the parts of how students need to focus more from the syllabus. what are the likely questions that will be tested. From there, coming to the examination hall, there is no how that you are not going to come across minimum of 2 questions that you know best. So starting with best known questions will reduce the tension and you are going to get it right before finishing the examination. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for that, sir. Oh, please, oh, Victoria Sunday, can you please mute your mic? All right.
Okay, so Martin, I think we should take some questions now.
Okay, all right, sir.
So if you have any questions for the tutors, you can simply raise your hand. We'll ask you to unmute and ask your questions. And raise your hand if you have any questions. If you are joining us from YouTube, you can drop it to the comment section. I will read them out. So you can continue while we wait for students to show interest.
Hello, good evening.
Hello,
Good evening, sir.
Okay, good evening. Thank you very much. I would like to appreciate our handlers. Hello, can you hear me, please?
Yeah, we
Yes,
can hear
we
you, sir.
can.
Yes, we can.
Okay, yeah. I'd like to appreciate everyone for the efforts you're making on us and ensuring ensuring we ace our papers once. My question actually goes thus: is there a way we can know like the area of concentration? Because reading all the syllabus, I think we should know is not feasible. So I need at least we should know, even if we want to read area, if we want to read all the syllabus, at least we should know where to read more than the topic to read, or the topic to read more than the one not to read much on. This meaning times of emphasis, the one to read much and the one that we can just less the reading compared to how we read the other one. Please, I would like to know if there is a provision or how we can know those areas. We can, like, area of concentration. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Ridwan Aziz. Which of the course in particular are you currently
Yeah, I'm
preparing
in
for?
foundation and I'm doing all the 4 courses. All the 4 courses in foundation.
Okay, yeah. Well, I feel the materials that ICANN Online Tutors have provided is sufficient enough. Yeah, and we might not say there is an area of concentration per se, because ICANN can actually bring up questions from anywhere. Yeah, so all you need to do is just study your past questions and then also make use of the materials that ICANN Online Tutors have provided, and then definitely you are going to be acing your papers.
Okay, thank you. But I've been attending.
Go ahead, please.
Please go ahead, sir. Hello, Mr. Ridwan.
I think he's having a network challenge.
Yes. Okay. Okay. Okay, so we have a question here from Bukola. Yeah, so said, good evening, sir. Is there still assurance for someone who has not fully prepared to pass this November diet? And the person said that is left with advanced audit and assurance, and strategic financial management. Okay. Okay, yes. So we have about a month to the exams, and anything is possible if you put your mind into it. So yes, it's still possible to study, but it means that you have to put in more work in studying for the exams since you have 2 papers left.
So, I think Mr. Babajide, you can unmute yourself, you can ask your question.
Good evening, everyone. Good evening, ICANN online tutors.
Good evening, sir.
Okay. Initially, I wanted to write 3 papers. I have been exempted from writing BMF. I'm actually in foundation level. So initially, I registered for 3 papers. I registered. No, sorry, I wanted to write 3 papers, so I registered. I took lessons for the 3 remaining papers, but at the point I discovered that I needed to drop MI because I believe that it is like a 3-in-1 course. So, so I didn't want to rush it. So even now, I discovered that I've been so very busy, so very busy. So now, I'm settling for FA and DL. Even at that, I feel that my preparation is not adequate. So I really wish to join the tutorial class, but when I looked at the timetable, I discovered that the epic class revision is going to hold on Sundays around 11 a.m. So that's one of the challenges, because now I want to really in the next 3 weeks, I want to study vigorously. So I really want to partake in that revision class, but the timetable is just a challenge. So please, I don't know if it's possible for it to be reviewed. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much, Mr. Babajide. Okay, yes. So yes, regarding review of timetable, yeah, I think the timetable is in a way convenient, and we also if you miss the live classes, you can always have the recordings afterwards. So if it's not possible for you to join the live classes, you can have access to the videos and then watch them at your pace so that it doesn't slow you down from learning. Yeah, we have Perpetual here. Our hands are raised. Please, Perpetual, unmute yourself and speak, please.
Okay, thank you very much. Good evening, everyone. I want to ask a question, and I want to direct my question to Mr. Cletus Itacho. I want to ask, like, when you are giving a case question in AAA, like when they will tell you stories about the company, and at the end of everything, they will not ask you, having read this case, that you should explain, maybe they will give you a 10 in auditing, explain materiality, and then give the rate that shows the social figure is material to the financial statement. So I want to know, is it compulsory that you have to relate that explanation to the case, or can you just explain based on what you have learned? and then write your answers based on what you know, or must you relate it to the case for you to get your mark? Thank you very much. Please, did you get my question?
Yes, sir. Please, what was the question directed to? Sorry.
I think he was directing it to
You
Mr.
get-
Cletus.
Okay.
Yes, ma. Yes, ma. I directed it to Mr. Cletus.
Okay. Mr. Cletus, this question is for you.
Okay, if I can, I didn't get it much clearer. If I can recall the question, you are talking about a scenario. Scenario-based question in which you are on the scenario. So if it's based on it, you scenario should let your answers to that scenario. So you shouldn't answer it by isolating the scenario, because that's why the examiner give the scenario in the first place. If it is a direct question, if the examiner wanted to ask you a direct question, he wouldn't waste his time telling you the stories or giving you a scenario. So if it's a scenario question, the scenario is not just testing the scenario itself. Is using a surrogate means to get his or her, the examiner using a surrogate means for him to get his or her answer. He would have just asked you direct and you get the answer to him. So he used another diverted way to still test whether you know it. So whatever answer you get should be based or should be related to the scenario. That's why you need to know the concept first. Know the concept first. Then whatever scenario that comes, you apply the concept to the scenario. I think you have gotten that answer. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Thank you very much, sir.
So Esther's iPhone. So you can unmute yourself. Yeah.
All right, thank you. Good evening. So I have a question. Okay, I just need advice or ways that I can improve myself, because I find that when I study most of the questions, like immediately after studying and I solve some, I'll look for some maybe past question related to the courses, like to the topic that I read. I will solve it, and most times I will get to some extent. And maybe when I do it 2 or 3 times, I will get it. But maybe in 3 weeks' time, if I go back to the question, I will find it hard to, to remember maybe how the process I passed, like the formulas or the steps to get the whole answers done. So I don't know, because my background was not mathematics or accounting or anything. So it was a theoretical course. Yes. So my background was law, but all these formula things, I'm having difficulty in. I don't know how to help myself so that it can just stick to my memory and I can improve on that. So, and the second question I have is, while going through the past questions, I saw that some topic like MIIT. Like there are questions that have been asked in the past question that is not in what they taught us, or even in ICANN syllabus. So I don't know. And there is even one question I saw is only 1 or 2 questions from the ICANN syllabus. The other 2 or something was totally different. I've never seen it in the syllabus. Sorry, in the pack. So I don't know whether it just differs with the year or that is the trend. Thank you.
Hi, sorry, please. Can you? I didn't get your question. Please, can you just give us like a recap of what you said so I could quickly answer?
Okay, is it everything I said? Okay, all right. So in summary, I just want maybe a guide on how I can improve myself in retaining the formulas or the steps in accounting, or like, because I'm still in foundation. So I find myself maybe getting it better, maybe in class or when I do it myself. But later, maybe in 2 weeks time, I'll go back to the question. I will find it hard to maybe remember all the steps. And also, the second question I asked was, I found out that in MIIT, that there are some questions that are not in the pack, like the study pack that they give us, that is an ICANN's website. So I don't know whether it varies because of the year or the syllable. I don't know, but most questions I saw there are not even in ICANN pack that I study with. So I want to know, let me be clarified about that, if there are other things to read, to expect. Thank you.
Okay. Yes, thank you for that. Okay, I'll start with the first question. So, if I could get you correctly, you said that you need a simplified way of learning. Yeah. And
Yes.
okay. So I think it's going to be, it will have to be what works for you, because what works for me might not be what works for you. But I think constant practice, makes perfection. So if you're going to have to remember most of the accounting formulas, or you have to like practice them often and make sure you use them regularly, and that's how it becomes a part of you. Yeah. And then for the second question, you said that some of the questions we don't find them in the study pack. I think maybe it's because of how the questions are being coined or how they are paraphrased. But definitely the questions will have to be from the study pack, because I can't study pack, and they set questions from that. Please, I hope I've answered your question, ma'am.
And I think, Queen, let me also add to that as well, based on what
All right.
Esther mentioned. And one of the things as well, okay, regarding your second question is that there are some time, the syllables usually work. Sometimes they review the syllables as often as well. So maybe, for example, now you check some past question. Maybe let me use November 2014 as an example. So you may see the question relating to the IT. But when you check the new syllables the new study text that you have on the ICANN website now, you may not be able to find that anymore. Maybe due to changes in syllables, especially if we look from maybe November 2019 to date. If we compare with what you have from maybe May 2019 down to November 2014, there's a changes because the syllabus was amended. So it may be to one, that's one of the major reasons that can cause that you check some words, some question in the words in the past question, but you can't really find it in the words in the study text saying something about it. So one of the key things that can cause that to be as a result of word changes in word in syllable. So there are some topic that has been in existence before, but nowadays they have removed it. So that's one of the things that can bring about such things. And regarding your first question as well, at least you're a lawyer, so most of the words, some of the things that you are used to, it is not really computation. And I also agree to what Queen also make mention as in terms of what you just try as much as possible to just go over it again. Just go over it again. And once you work, the continuity is what is there, you make use of it, then it will become what? It will become part of you. So at least you have make mention that maybe after the class, like 2 days, you take it over again, you still retain the information. But maybe 2 weeks or 3 weeks now, you find it difficult to recollect it. So just try as much as possible to reduce the gap. Once you learn it, just don't make it a week. Just at least the exam is very close now. So once you are you check it this week, maybe in 2 days time, still revise it again. Still review some of the formula that you use, and with that, it should be part of you. And welcome to accounting as well. And don't worry, God will make it easier for you. Queen, you can continue.
Okay, thank you for that. Thank you so much, sir. Yes, so we have a question here from Emecheta Jenny, and she says, "Good evening." Sorry. Okay, yes, I'll go ahead. Good evening. Can we say there is a best manner of answering questions in public sector accounting and finance? Like, is your answer supposed to be straight to the point or well-bodied? Or is there a thing like starting with definitions or explanation? And then she said, just trying to know if there's a more proper way to answer questions for public sector accounting and finance. So this question is directed to the tutor for public sector accounting and finance.
All right. Let me take one out of it. And I will make this an answer to be a general one and not only on public sector accounting and finance. Because if examiner is having a questions to ask, there will be a particular point that the examiner is expecting from the student. Let me say, for instance, if examiner states that identify the key elements of, let's say, finance, for instance. So the element of finance is what the examiner is expecting. You can identify the elements and give explanation on the elements. But if you want to buttress your explanation outside the requirements by giving definition of finance before giving the element, it's a welcome one, but that will not give you additional mark to what you are expected to gain from your question. So in public sector accounting and finance, the best way to attend to your requirements, if it's a topic contest, that you can give definition of the objectives or the exact question that the examiner is asking you. There is no harm in giving definition to the contest before giving the exact point that the examiner is requesting from you. So there is no harm in giving definition if you can give that definition, and that will not distract you giving the exact point that is required from you. Fine and good. You can give explanation in that form. And I also understand that at times the chiefs might be down, where students might not really understand what the examiner is actually asking. But it also works in that manner. If I could not be able to get exactly what the examiner is asking, but I know some theory relating to that question, then I can now put down what I understand about the topic. That will be only when the chiefs are down and we don't know what exactly the examiner is asking. Then I can give the definition. If there is any other subtopic on that context, then I can also list. For instance, I can state the characteristics or state the objective. If there is types again, I can also state the types. That is only when the chiefs are down, that I don't know what exactly the examiner, maybe based on how the question is being twisted.
Okay, thank you so much, sir. I hope your question was answered. Yes, we have another question here from Janet Bayere, and she says, "Good evening, Mr. Abdulwasiu. Please, I registered for corporate strategic management and ethics because of the voluminous notes involved, and I need your assistance on risk and these modules of internal analysis." So, Mr. Abdulwasiu. Hello, Mr. Abdulwasiu Yonda, are you there? Okay, I think we lost him. So yeah, Janet, you can just reach out to us on WhatsApp and then yeah, we'll take it up from there. So I don't know. Yeah, okay, we have some hands raised here. So we have Ayodele Oluwatimileyin. Please go ahead with your questions.
All right. Good evening.
Good evening.
All right. My question is just that because of tight schedule, I registered for 3 courses, but because of busy schedule, I'm able to study 1 out of the 3. The question is now that is the course live access or the access is for a while? The course we register for.
Okay, yes. So yeah, the courses you paid for are only accessible for 1 diet. So after the diet, you no longer have access to them.
Okay.
All right, thank you so much, sir. Yes, and then we have Christiana Ifeyiwa. Please go ahead with your question.
Okay, good evening. Thank you so much.
Good evening.
My question is, I registered for PMD's diet. It's actually my first time writing it. But I've heard a lot of things from people saying PM is very tough and it's affecting me based on even the things that are so simple and comprehensible. I just struggle because I already have this mentality that it's tough. So do you have any advice for me to help improve and just focus and study? And is there any way that students are not getting it right in PM that's causing so much mass failure? Please.
Okay, yeah, well, I don't know. I think I need someone to assist me to answer that.
Okay, I think I can say something about that.
All right, sir.
So the questionnaire, see, don't let us be having the mind of what people say, because if you are following what people say, you might be distracted, and being distracted, you might not even have that courage or confidence to go for what you need or what you desire. So leave that out of the context. What we are treating, they are topical, they are topics by topics. And you enrolling for it is, I don't know, let me ask you a question. Is it only PM that you are having left?
Yes, sir, it's just PM.
Okay. Then if that is the case, your problem is half solved. If it's just 1 p.m. that is delaying you for you to go to the final stage. And I believe this is part of what has been affecting some of the students before enrolling for a course. So don't let that distract you. You pick this topic one after the other, and that is how we are treating it. So once you are able to finish one particular topic, follow the instructor, which is your tutors, and lay your hands on questions. You are free to write the examination. Even with those that did not even have any calculation background, including the PM that you are scared of, with ease. And now it is still not late. It's starting tomorrow, as the founder just said before we started this, and that will take us about, I think, 4 weeks. And part of what we are doing for this period is likely examinable questions and a very cheap way that we are going to come across whatever questions that we might face in the exam hall. So you don't have any problem regards to your PM. It's a very simple question topic, but it's because of the notion that you are having, that is what is distracting you. So you have to delete that notion.
All right. Thank you, sir, for that, sir. So we have questions from us, YouTube also, Queen.
Okay, yes. Okay. So Raymond Mary Lazarus says, how can someone access the online tutor materials? Okay, yeah. So you can reach out to us on WhatsApp, yeah, or any of our social media platform. So our WhatsApp number is 07044576011, and then 0811086686. Yes, and then the last question before we call it a night, yeah, we have here from Bright Osazie. So he says that from your years of experience, please, what areas would you advise us to concentrate on to read and revise in writing, CSME, PSAF, and taxation? Yeah.
So let me pick from the PSAF perspective. Number one, all the syllables are relevant. All the topics are relevant, but I will pick most and very important topics that you'll be expecting for your examination. One, your sources of finance. Sources of finance plus sources of finance plus hold on, Mr. Cletus, kindly remind me.
Maybe debt management.
Okay, sources of, is it sources of revenue? Are you hearing me? Sources of revenue.
Yes, sources of revenue. Thank you. Sources of revenue. Then the topics, the other topics under the sources of revenue, which include the calculation aspects.
Yeah, the federation account, consolidated revenue
exactly.
Fund.
And development fund account, consolidated revenue fund, federation account, and development fund account is key, is relevant. After that, you go to your financial statement preparation. financial statement preparation, either the accrual basis or the cash IPSAS basis. It's another key topic that you need to prepare for. You have your emerging issues. Emerging issues. Under the emerging issues, so we are talking about the EFCC. We have the ICPC. We have the FIRS, Federal Inland Revenue Service. NSC, Nigerian Customs Service. All these are the key emerging issues. So you need to look at what are the objectives of all these emerging issues. Then you also go to your management information study and management and information. And under your management and information in public sector, you have one, IPPIS. IPPIS, Integrated Personnel Payroll Management Information Studies, MIS. Then you have your GIFMIS. You have your GIFMIS. Your GIFMIS. Then you move on to investment appraiser in public sector. Investment appraiser in public sector. Under the investment appraiser in public sector, you need your payback period, net present value, and accounting rate of return. Payback period, accounting rate of return, net present value, profitability index, as well as cost volume analysis, CVA, and cost benefit analysis, CBA. Then lastly, from my own end, before I give the mic to Mr. Cletus, is your IPSAS. IPSAS. Under your IPSAS, you will be expecting minimum of 1 or 2 questions from your international public sector accounting standards. The standards are voluminous. You can't cover everything, but you have advantage on your IPSAS because you are going to have a related standard that talks about any of the IPSAS under your financial reporting. Now, under your IPSAS, the key one, you need your employee benefits. Employee benefits. You need your cash flow statements. You need your cash flow statements. You also need financial instruments. Financial instruments. And lastly, changes in accounting estimates and errors. Changes in accounting estimates and errors. So you can relate all this with your conventional financial reporting. So if time permits, you can also look for any other related IPSAS that you are having under your financial reporting. So they are the words, the terminologies are mostly similar, but the only difference that you are going to be having is the disclosure requirement and the application. And under your IPSAS, you need to study only the theory, so you don't have to bother yourself on the application on your IPSAS. So Mr. Cletus will shed more light on the areas that you need to also cover, that you will be expecting in your public sector accounting and finance.
Thank you, Mr. Latunji, the lead tutor. You have almost touched on the major areas. He has mentioned the major areas. What I can add there's another segment that attracts about 30 marks or 30% of the syllabus called public finance. Public finance. So in that public finance, you have about either 4 topics there. You have fiscal responsibility, you have a public debt, then public revenue and public expenditure. So those areas, though is very minute, tiny, but you will always find a question from, there's no diet, you will not find a question from that area. So you can also concentrate there. Then, as for application of IPSAS, they are moving from cash basis to Accra. So you'll be expecting more questions on Accra basis now going forward. Though cash basis can still be tested, maybe for you to have a background knowledge, but where the pendulum is moving or swinging to its Accra-based IPSAS. So I think that can be all for PISA. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much for that, sir. Yeah, okay. We have one question here. Yes. The last question. Okay, this person, Nelson, says, good evening, tutors. Please, can the financial status of your referee affect your ability to get exemptions even when you are qualified for exemption and paid for it? Okay, yes, I'll just go ahead to answer that. So yes, Nelson, your referee must be a financial member of the institute before you can proceed to claim exemptions. Yes. Okay, so we don't have any questions from all our social media platforms, so we would be calling it a night. Thank you so much to all our participants, and thank you to our tutors for taking our time to honor this webinar. Thank you to my colleagues, Mr. Idoulayeni and Mr. Abdul Martin. Thank you. Yes. Have a wonderful night.
All right. Bye.
Good night.